The man had been repairing machines in the factory for 40 years, yet he was fired by the very student he had personally trained, just because the student had long grown tired of the man's instructions. So on the very first day of his promotion to section chief, he fired the man. Before leaving, the man still insisted on fixing the last machine, but he was rejected by the student. Looking at the impatient student before him, he still wanted to remind the student to fix the machine properly, and left him with the special repair tools he had made. But the student disdainfully kicked the tools to the ground and told the man to clean up and leave quickly. Little did he know, there had long been a company that wanted to hire the man with a $2 million annual salary, but he didn't want to betray the factory director's trust, so he never chose to change jobs. Meanwhile, the chairman of the group who wanted to hire the man had already received news that the man was fired, so he immediately instructed his assistant to invite the man to his factory, because he knew very well how skilled the man was. On the other hand, the man returned home, still worried about the machine that hadn't been fixed. Thinking of the repair techniques his student had yet to learn, he became even more anxious. The more he thought about it, the more fearful he became. Finally, ignoring his wife's objections, he wanted to go to his student's home to remind him of the problems that still existed in the machine. But the student had no interest in hearing the man's nagging. The man could only hand over his 40 years of work notes to his apprentice, hoping he would study them carefully, and he told him that many repair details he had not yet mastered. Such careless repairs could even cause the chip to self-ignite. But the student didn't believe the man at all. He even treated the man's notes like trash and threw them into the garbage bin. Then he ignored the man's nagging completely. Seeing the heartless student, the man suddenly felt a wave of sadness in his heart. But he could only pick up his notes again and decided not to care about the student anymore. But when he got home, he felt another wave of disappointment. What troubled him even more was that he and his wife relied only on his meager pension, which could not cover the household expenses. For the sake of their future life, the man had no choice but to collect scrap on the street. There, he ran into his student again. Hearing the student's ridicule, the man only wanted to care about the machine, just as several people proudly told the man that the machine had already been fixed. The student's phone suddenly rang. It was about the very machine the student had repaired yesterday. It had developed a problem. They all hurried back to the factory and had no intention of listening to the man's warning not to turn on the machine. As soon as the student returned to the factory, he was scolded by the factory director. Seeing the smoking machine, the student immediately promised he would fix it right away. 3 hours later, just when the student thought he had fixed the machine once again emitted thick smoke. The problem was exactly as the man had said. Only then did the student realize that everything the man had said was true, but he was unwilling to give in so easily. He continued working on the remaining machines, but every single machine had the same issue. Facing the director's blame, the student began to slander the man, saying it was his fault. He claimed the man didn't understand these high-tech machines at all, and that they had already been ruined before. When he heard the director say Japanese experts had arrived, the student immediately promised that he could bring in the experts to help. Little did he know, these machines could only be repaired by the man. Meanwhile, the group president's factory also had issues. He was anxiously searching for the man's whereabouts. Little did he know, the man was being invited by his own employee to the factory to collect scrap, but he didn't recognize the man's identity, and so the two missed each other. Looking at the factory's brand new machines, the man was instantly moved, but he could only keep packing up the scrap in his hands. Just as he was about to leave, he saw his student discussing machine problems with the director. The man hurried forward and asked the student what had happened. Was there a problem with the factory's machines? But the student dismissed him in disdain. He bluntly told him not to meddle in his business. He said he could get Japanese experts to solve it. Upon hearing the man's name, the director nearby immediately realized that the man before him was the senior repairman the president was looking for. So he happily called the president right away and personally went to bring the president back. The president looked excitedly at the man before him. Upon learning he was the senior repairman, he immediately wanted the man to help adjust the machines. But the student tried to stop him. He claimed the man couldn't possibly repair advanced machines and urged the president to think twice. But the president didn't believe the student at all. He once again sincerely pleaded with the man to help him adjust the machines. He said if Japanese experts were to adjust them, it would take a month. By then, his factory would have gone bankrupt. To persuade the man to agree, he even offered a $2 million payment. Looking at the sincere president before him and the high reward, the man finally agreed. But once again, his apprentice tried to stop him. He claimed the man had never worked with advanced machines. If something went wrong, he wouldn't be able to bear such a huge loss. But at that moment, the president stepped forward. He declared that if something went wrong, he would take full responsibility and instructed his assistant to draft a contract, stating clearly that as long as it was a machine repaired by the man, if any problems occurred in future production, he would bear all responsibility himself, and it would have nothing to do with the man. The man looked gratefully at the president before him. He hadn't expected someone to trust him so much. He then assured the president that he would fix all the machines within 4 days.